Hi, Mr. Adam. Hey, Peter. Great to meet you. Sit down for me. Now, I saw the pictures you sent to me. Oh, are they good? Oh, yes, they were great. In fact, they were spectacular. You want to explain to me how you got this picture? Oh, you know, stairs. Stairs. You used the stairs to get this photo. Yeah, you know, I just, I had to climb up those stairs, and there he was swinging. So I was like, hey, Spidey. And then I brought it here. You're Spider-Man, aren't you? What? No. No, that's not true, no. I'm not Spider-Man. Well, unless you magically grew wings, you're Spider-Man. No. I'm not Spider-Man. Spider-Man was directed by Sam Raimi and was released in 2002 and stars Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, James Franco, and Willem Dafoe, and the first time ever we see a live-action Spider-Man. We never talk about this one. You get it? We never, ever talk about this one. In case you aren't aware of your surroundings, I am a huge Spider-Man fan. I have been since I was a little kid, and I'm so glad I finally get to be able to talk about these movies and just, give my opinions on them. Yes, I will be going over every movie, the good, the bad, and the oh-so-terrible. It's going to be a long series, but I'm so glad I get to talk about it. This movie is actually the origin story of Peter Parker getting bitten by a radioactive spider, and he becomes Spider-Man and has to balance all these superpowers with all this responsibility in order to protect the citizens of New York. So with having a Spider-Man movie, you obviously need to have a great Spider-Man, and boy did Tobey Maguire put on a clinic in this film. He was spectacular in this movie, no pun intended. I know in history, remember Tobey as possibly being the greatest Spider-Man of all time, but the funny thing is, Sony actually had him dead last on their selection to be Spider-Man. In fact, it took Sam Raimi constant convincing for the studio to finally decide, you know what, fine, Tobey will be Spider-Man, we'll put him on the big screen, and the rest is history. What's so great about the way Sam Raimi made this Spider-Man is that it actually follows the comics pretty well. I know people get a little thrown off when you see Spider-Man wrestling, he's fighting Bonesaw in the middle of a steel cage match, and people get confused watching this film. They're like, I don't get what's happening. Why is he wrestling? The funny thing is, this actually happened in the comics. That's actually canon. When Peter became Spider-Man, he was only 16 years old, and he needed to make money. So he's like, look, I'll just become a wrestler. And the movie kind of follows that, where he became cocky, where he didn't feel the need to protect anybody with these powers, and it ended up in the death of Uncle Ben, and then he decided with great power comes great responsibility. With having a great superhero, you obviously need to have a great supervillain. Willem Dafoe puts on probably the best performance of this film. I loved him in this movie. Oh, he was so great. You just love the split personality of the Green Goblin, because in the comic books, that's kind of how Green Goblin is. I know there are a lot of alternate universes in the comic books where Norman Osborn's actually a super bad guy before he even becomes Green Goblin, but what I liked is that they made him more sympathetic before he became the crazy guy that you see in the movie. You also see the split personality throughout the movie. You see him, he's Norman Osborn one second, then all of a sudden he's laughing like crazy, and he becomes the Green Goblin. That's how the comics were, and that's also how the 90s cartoon was. The 90s cartoon Spider-Man is probably still considered to be one of the best cartoon superhero shows ever made. I'd say, X-Men, Batman the Animated Series, and then you'd put the 90s Spider-Man cartoon on there. It was just such a great series, and the fact that they actually got inspiration from that made it even better for me, and it actually made me like this movie and appreciate this movie even more. Now, the other performance that actually gave Willem Dafoe a run for his money was J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. I can't imagine a better casting for a character than J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. I think if I had to do a ranking, I think it would be Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, and then J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. That's how great he is. Even though J. Jonah is a supporting actor throughout this entire series, you just feel enthralled when he's on screen. He just pulls you in because he's just so amazing. It's like a comic book character come to life, and I love that. I mean, every time he's on screen, I have to pay attention to him. I've seen this movie so many times, but every time he comes on screen, I have to stop what I'm doing and I have to watch this masterful performance, because he literally is J. Jonah Jameson, and the fact that they brought him back in the later movies just made it even better. I mean, the kid in me came out when I saw him come back. I also want to give credit to Sam Raimi as a director for this film, because I think in today's time, with how superhero movies are, you see directors are starting to fall into a formula because they don't want to upset the fan base, and also because Marvel movies are making so much money that they feel that, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But Sam Raimi decided to say, hey, move out the way, this is my movie, I'm going to make it how I want to, and it made the movie even better. I love it when a director decides to put his own little taste on it, because it shows that he truly cares about this project, and it shows that he wanted this movie to be good, and I think he was successful at that. Every superhero movie, there are cons, and I think this movie does have kind of big cons. It depends on how you look at it. Now, to me, the biggest flaw of this movie is the Green Goblin's outfit. What is this? Seriously, what is that? It looks like a first draft for a Power Ranger villain. It was terrible. As a kid, I knew that wasn't right because I looked at the comics and I looked back at the cartoon. I was like, it doesn't look right. There's something about that just doesn't feel right. Now as an adult, I say the exact same thing. I'm saying that doesn't look right. I don't like it. I don't want to see this again. Get this off my screen. Another thing that's a little nitpicky depending on how you are, I don't like the organic web shooters. So in this movie, Spidey doesn't have to build his own web shooters. He actually has automatic ones that come out of his hand. The reason why I prefer the web shooters Peter makes is because it shows how great of a scientist he is. If you take away the first, 5 minutes of this film, you can't really tell Peter's a super genius. You just think he's another high schooler, when in reality he's actually really smart, and he's actually ahead of everybody, which actually gives him an advantage when he goes against supervillains. The other thing that's kind of bad about this movie is that sometimes the CGI doesn't hold up. Don't get me wrong, I know it's 2002, but there are some scenes where I was like, wow, that looks great. I mean, even for today's time, that looks great. That could hold up. And there are some scenes where I'm like, yeah, let's get that off the screen right now. However, I don't really think it hurts the film. I mean, when you look at it, yeah, it bothers you, but I just don't think it really hurts the film in any way. I mean, you're not going to walk away saying, oh, you know what, that CGI web really ruined the film for me. No, you're just like, oh, I mean, yeah, I get it. It's 2002. It's not Endgame, but it's a good film. The box office speaks for itself because of a $139 million budget, it made over $821 million. It almost made $1 billion. In 2002, that's insane to me because we're seeing how easy it is to get $1 billion today, but at the time, to get 821 was insane, at least for me. I mean, I don't know about you, but that's crazy to me that a film all the way back in 2002 almost made $1 billion. That's crazy. I was so happy to rewatch this film. I haven't watched this film in a while, but, being a huge Spider-Man fan, being able to revisit my childhood, brought back a whole bunch of nostalgia. And with this, I'm going to give Spider-Man 2002 an A-. I think the Green Goblin outfit really held it back. And there are some pacing issues here and there, but it's still a great superhero film. I think it still is the best superhero origin film to this date. It's that great. If you haven't watched it in a while, I 100% recommend you watch it. My next video, I'll be reviewing Spider-Man 2. Guys, thanks so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you next time.